What if the most powerful brain optimization protocol ever recorded wasn't created in a lab, but was written down by a prophet 2,500 years ago? It sounds like science fiction, but stick with me. There are moments in history when science and scripture collide so precisely that it becomes almost impossible to dismiss the encounter as just a coincidence. This is one of those moments. Deep inside the Book of Ezekiel, one of the most visionary and complex texts in all of sacred literature, there is a recipe. Not a parable, not a metaphor. A specific, detailed formula for a bread made from 6 ingredients. When you study this formula through the lens of modern biochemistry, you find something that just shouldn't exist in a document written centuries before the birth of Christ. Now, most people who've heard of Ezekiel bread probably think of a health food trend, a loaf you see at the organic grocery store, a well-marketed product with a biblical name. But that surface-level understanding misses something profound. The original text in Ezekiel chapter 4 doesn't describe a dietary suggestion. It describes a divine instruction, given in precise detail, specifying which grains to combine, in what context, and for what purpose. This wasn't just food. This was a protocol, one that carried both physical and spiritual dimensions at the same time. But this isn't even the strangest part. When you examine the 6 ingredients, wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt through the eyes of modern nutrition science, you discover something extraordinary. Together, they form a complete amino acid profile. This means the combination provides every essential protein building block the human body needs, but can't manufacture on its own. This level of nutritional completeness is almost exclusively found in animal products in the natural world. So, finding it in a plant-based ancient recipe is already remarkable. But finding it prescribed in a sacred text, thousands of years before modern dietetics even existed, that's something else entirely. And there's one more detail that almost no one notices. The original preparation method involved sprouting the grains. This process deactivates something called phytic acid, a natural compound that normally blocks the absorption of key nutrients in our gut. When seeds germinate, enzymes are released that radically transform their internal chemistry. What was locked becomes available. What was dormant awakens. And that biological shift mirrors, with unsettling precision, the very language that spiritual traditions have used for centuries to describe the awakening of human consciousness. If this kind of content speaks to you, subscribe so you never miss what we uncover next. Now, let's explore how a 2,500-year-old sprouting process could unlock brain states that meditators spend years trying to reach. The human brain isn't really designed for clarity. It's designed for survival. Every system in your nervous system is built to scan for threats, to react before thinking, to prioritize speed over depth. And yet, across every major spiritual tradition in human history, the great teachers, mystics, and prophets describe states of profound mental stillness, moments of clarity so deep that they felt like touching something beyond ordinary existence. The question modern neuroscience is now beginning to ask is a simple but radical one. What biological conditions make those states possible? The answer, which is emerging from research into neurotransmitter regulation and the gut-brain connection, points directly to the kind of slow-release, amino acid-rich nutrition that the Ezekiel formula provides. When you eat these germinated grains, the complex carbohydrates break down gradually, delivering a steady stream of glucose to the brain. This happens without the spikes and crashes that modern processed foods create. This sustained energy supply does something specific and measurable. It stabilizes the prefrontal cortex. That's the region of the brain that governs our decision-making, emotional regulation, and our capacity for deep, sustained focus. And this is where everything shifts. Researchers studying advanced meditators, monks, and yogis with decades of practice have found that their brains, during deep meditative states, produce elevated gamma wave activity. Gamma waves are associated with heightened awareness, cross-sensory integration, and what many spiritual practitioners describe as a sense of unity or expanded consciousness. The neurological conditions required to enter those states are precisely the ones created by stable blood glucose, optimized neurotransmitter balance, and a calm, regulated nervous system. The ancient formula, interpreted through modern science, reads like a preparation protocol for exactly that kind of mental state. What comes next is deeply unsettling, in the best possible way. The Vedic tradition, one of the oldest spiritual systems on Earth, developed an entire philosophy around the relationship between food and consciousness. It's called sattvic nutrition. Foods that were considered sattvic, pure, light, and life-giving were believed to directly support states of meditative clarity, spiritual receptivity, and inner peace. The parallels between that ancient dietary wisdom and the biochemical profile of sprouted Ezekiel bread aren't vague. They are specific, measurable, and deeply compelling. Drop a comment if you've ever felt that what you eat directly affects how you think, feel, or connect spiritually. You're not imagining it. Now, let's look at what ancient cultures knew about fermentation that modern science is only now beginning to prove. Bread has been fermented for at least 14,000 years, long before anyone understood microbes, enzymes, or the gut-brain axis. Ancient civilizations were using fermentation as a kind of ritual technology. It was a deliberate process of transformation that they understood, on an experiential level, to change not just the food, but the person consuming it. In Egypt, fermented bread was an offering to the gods. In Greece, specific leavened breads were used in mystery school initiations. In the Hebrew tradition, the distinction between leavened and unleavened bread carried deep theological weight. These weren't just arbitrary cultural customs. They were the encoded wisdom of people who had spent generations observing how fermented foods affected human consciousness. When you apply fermentation to the already germinated grains of the Ezekiel formula, something remarkable happens at a biological level. The live microorganisms introduced during fermentation consume residual sugars and produce a cascade of bioactive compounds, short-chain fatty acids, B vitamins, and additional enzymes. These dramatically enhance the nutritional density and bioavailability of the bread. But there's one detail almost no one connects to its full implication. These compounds, upon reaching our digestive system, selectively nourish specific strains of gut bacteria. And these bacteria are directly linked to the production of serotonin. Approximately 90% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut, not the brain. And serotonin is the primary neurochemical associated with emotional stability, a sense of meaning, and the feeling that life is coherent and purposeful. And this is where ancient ritual and modern neurobiology converge in a way that is difficult to dismiss. The gut-brain axis, a bidirectional communication highway between your intestinal microbiome and your central nervous system, is one of the most active areas of contemporary neuroscience research. What researchers are discovering is that the composition of your gut microbiome directly influences not just your mood, but your capacity for empathy, your resilience to stress, and your ability to access states of calm, focused awareness. The ancients built entire ritual systems around foods that supported this biological reality, without ever having the language to name it. If this content is shifting how you see the connection between physical nourishment and spiritual growth, hit that like button. It helps this channel keep bringing these forgotten truths back into the light. Thanks for watching. Why every major spiritual tradition on Earth treated food as sacred technology, and what they were really doing. The idea that food is simply fuel is a modern invention, and not a particularly wise one. For the vast majority of human history, in cultures spanning every continent and every era, the preparation and consumption of specific foods was inseparable from spiritual practice. This was not superstition. It was not primitive thinking dressed in religious language. It was a sophisticated, empirically developed understanding of the relationship between what enters the body and what becomes possible in the mind. And when you look closely at the most enduring sacred food traditions in human history, a pattern emerges that is impossible to ignore. In the Hindu tradition, the concept of prasadh, food offered to the divine and then shared, carries within it a complete philosophy of intentional preparation. The belief was not merely symbolic. Food prepared with devotion, attention, and a calm state of mind carried a different quality than food prepared with distraction or negative emotion. Modern fermentation science is now producing data that supports this intuition. The stress hormones of the person preparing fermented foods demonstrably affect the microbial environment of the fermentation process itself, altering the final biochemical composition of the product. Intent and internal state, it turns out, are not metaphors in the kitchen. They are variables. But there's one detail almost no one discusses when comparing sacred food traditions across religions. The Islamic concept of baraka, divine blessing, embedded in food, the Jewish framework of kashrut, which governs not just what is eaten, but how and in what spirit, and the Christian tradition of the Eucharist as a literal act of transformation through sacred consumption, all share a common structural logic. The physical and the spiritual are not separate dimensions of existence. They are interpenetrating layers of a single reality that must be approached with wholeness rather than fragmentation. Ezekiel's bread sits at the intersection of all of these traditions. It is simultaneously a nutritional protocol and a spiritual ritual, a biological tool and a sacred symbol. The 6 ingredients, when germinated, fermented, and prepared with presence, represent something far older than any single religion. They represent a human understanding, encoded in multiple traditions across time, that the boundary between nourishing the body and awakening the soul was never meant to be a boundary at all. How to build a modern sacred practice around the Ezekiel protocol, and why 2026 is the perfect time to begin. Everything you have encountered in this journey points toward a single, practical conclusion. Ancient wisdom does not need to be preserved in museums. It needs to be lived. The Ezekiel protocol is not a historical artifact. It is a living system that can be integrated into the rhythms of modern life, with precision, intention, and measurable results. The challenge is not access. The challenge is the willingness to slow down enough to allow transformation to happen on its own timeline, which is, not coincidentally, exactly what every authentic spiritual tradition has always required. The practical process begins with sourcing the 6 grains in their whole, unprocessed form: hard red wheat berries, whole barley, great northern beans, green lentils, whole millet, and whole spelt. Each grain is soaked separately for 8 to 12 hours, then drained and rinsed twice daily until small sprouts appear, depending on ambient temperature. This takes between 1 and 3 days. During this time, the molecular architecture of each grain is being reconstructed from the inside out. Enzyme activity increases dramatically. Antinutrients are neutralized. The protein structure opens. The seeds cross a threshold from dormant to alive, and that aliveness, according to both ancient tradition and modern biochemistry, is precisely what makes this bread something other foods are not. And this opens a door few dare to cross. The act of tending to germinating grains over several days is itself a contemplative practice. It requires return, observing, caring, and being present without forcing an outcome. Every tradition that has produced genuinely awakened human beings has emphasized that the path of transformation acquires exactly this quality of patient, attentive presence. The kitchen, approached this way, becomes a laboratory of consciousness. The bread that emerges from it carries not just nutrients, but the quality of the attention that shaped its creation. The optimal time to consume Ezekiel bread is in the morning, before the day's noise has a chance to crowd out the quiet. Paired with a few minutes of stillness, intentional breathing, or reflection on sacred texts, it becomes part of a complete morning ritual that nourishes the nervous system, stabilizes the mind, and opens the day from a place of grounded clarity. If this video opened something in you that you weren't expecting, subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Leave a comment telling us which part of this journey landed most deeply for you. Every response reminds us that these forgotten truths still matter.